Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Mavri here with episode 2 of It Invaded. So it is actually it or Ido, not ID. As we can see from the last episode, this is most likely referring to Freud's system of psychoanalysis, the id, the ego, the superego, since it is something to do with the unconscious part of your mind, going in, deep diving into it, and so on and so forth, right? Originally, I thought it was ID because, it's personalized, you're invading someone's person or whatnot, but I think, yeah, it should be, I believe the Japanese pronunciation is Ido, and that just means that it is probably something to do with the entire theory of psychoanalysis. But anyways, so as I mentioned, this is a very intriguing concept for me, being able to go into people's subconscious and then extract information from it. It's like playing a game in a sense, but not. So it's a gamification of the entire detective genre, mystery genre, or whatnot. And so we can see, even though it might not be the core of what it's trying to say here, I do find there are many elements within it that we can parallel with actually playing a detective or mystery game, right? So that is quite interesting for me. Not to mention the entire premise, how far can they go with it? Is it something where they can actually affect their subconscious and turn them around or something, or are they only just going to be a silent observer? And we'll probably learn more about that right in this episode, since one of the, I guess, agency members, detective members, Hanamachi, has been kidnapped by the criminal, and now we can get to see if our main character Sakaido is able to sort of use his time or his his projection within the criminal's mind to sort of affect the situation, right? Beyond that, I am actually, due to all you guys' feedback, I'm not going to do the highlights anymore. I'll just do a full episode reaction to it. I thought it would be something fun to do something like that as a sort of experiment, but since, the majority of you basically said, no, we don't want this, well, I'm here to oblige, right? And honestly, it doesn't really save me any time doing it in that format. It actually takes up more time, since I need to go into each individual part and then cut them. But I just thought it would be interesting to do something like that. But that's okay. The experiment failed. Let's get on with it. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. I am also doing a daytime episode right now because I'm preparing to leave for Lunar's New Year. Alright, so we're starting with the opening. This is the same song we heard at the end of last episode, but this is the actual opening this time. Yeah, Ito Invaded. Now, this is the type of J-rock or J-pop that I listen to a lot. This type of I feel like Japanese rock music in particular is very different from Western rock and whatnot. It's very melodic and very well balanced in the guitar, drums, bass, etc. Mistafix. Mistafix. Not really sure what this song title is referring to, but okay. Okay. Not really that much to say about that opening there. Okay, a little bit of a flashback. Ooh. Why? He doesn't seem to be. Huh. That was the suspect. This is one of the victims. Ooh. Just like that. Yeah, that's gotta hurt. Oh. But yeah. And so now he's part of the he's part of the criminal's memory now. Or his subconscious. But does he realize in his subconscious that he's being cornered? This is... like, I don't know what he can aim to accomplish here. Like, even if he did catch him, like... what can he do? Who's this? Oh, wait, is this that, John Walker dude? You know, the one that he... yeah. I'm guessing this is also the guy who, killed Sakaido's daughter, and Sakaido killed him and back. Bureaucracy. Really? Ooh. And she's lucky she doesn't have any. Or maybe I'm speaking too soon. I was thinking getting run over by an ambulance. Must have broke a bone or something. Ooh. Is this sort of like a lobotomy? That was a typo there. You shouldn't really aggravate him right now. Hmm.
そしてバラバラ人間たちの怯えるあのステッキ男。犯人もまた
He's running from him?
この密室に閉じこもり、カエルちゃんの死体の中に隠れていたってわけか。
なるほど。つまりあの秋、福田達は自分の内心がバラバラに壊れていることを自覚してないってことか。心が自分自身を騙しているんだ。
あるいはそれとも福田の前頭葉がかなりの部分欠損してるってこと。
Yeah, so it's basically like a self-lobotomy. Another way. What's she able to do? Come on, come on, come on.
その機械について教えてあげる。名前は枠結び。古事記や日本書紀に出てくる
Well, goddess.
水葉の目。その息子の名前が枠結びなの。
Okay, so it's named after
そこで構えてギュンギュンに回してて。
goddess.
それはね、こうやって使うの。
Ugh. Right in the X.
形成されます。外務官の枠結び確認しました。新しい井戸は本堂町小春の枠結びから発生している模様。境道排出。即座に新たな井戸に突っ込む。
ここは私の家じゃない。
Alright, transferring over. Oh no, wait, he has to wake up first. Does he retain his memories or not?
ここがどこだかわからない。何がどうなってるのかもわからない。わかっているのはこの子の名前だ。カエルちゃん。そして俺は坂井戸。
Yeah, that's all he knows.
俺は名探偵としてこのカエルちゃんの
I wonder if he's been programmed to think like this.
けど謎はなんだ。
And why is Kairu? I'm thinking, is Kairu his daughter?
ここで解くべき謎が見当たらないじゃないか。なので俺は頑張って生き延びる理由もない。足がバタついて裾が乱れるのを嫌ったのだろうか。女の子だから。
Hmm.
坂井戸死亡。井戸での活動時間68.25秒。解析を始めます。本堂町小春の顔です。ドリル先端に反射した顔が映り込んだようです。ならば他のものも一緒に映り込んでるはずだ。探せ。縛り付けられているステンレス製の台。飲食店の重機です。壁際にあるのも業務用冷蔵庫です。壁際の枠結びの明かりの反射角度から
Damn. This is some advanced analysis shit.
閉店したレストランがあります。構造のデータ出ます。このレストランの地下倉庫が監禁場所のサイズに合致しています。聞いてますよね、松岡さん。ああ、今向かってる。
They certainly have access to a lot of resources here.
殺意を検知するのか。
Wait.
本当だ。すぐには死なないんだね。
ありがとう。
何が。
俺はこれまでいろんな相手にドリルで穴を開けてきたけど間違えてたんだ。俺は人の頭に穴を開けたかったんじゃなくて、人が頭に穴を開けるのを見たかったんだ。
自分がそうしたように。
ああ、そうしなきゃいけないと思ったからね。
何それ。
風はどう？
今は寒いだけ。
動くな。今すぐそこから離れて床に這いつくばれ。このクソ野郎。本堂町。脈取れた。まだ生きてるぞ。死ぬなよ、本堂町。
生き延びたら俺のところに会いに来てくれ。
福田保を逮捕。蔵本部へ移送します。
ああ、到着したら知らせてくれ。あの新人は？
病院から連絡がありました。なんとか一命を取り留めたそうです。どちらへ？
もう一人の功労者もねぎらっておこうと思ってな。お疲れ様です。穴開き。
Hmm.
逮捕できたよ。
Yeah, so yeah, this is his real age.
ジョン・ウォーカーとの最接近だったな、今回。ですね。でも中身が空っぽでした。あれはどういう意味ですかね。人の無意識の作り出したものだ。意味も解釈も無数だよ、今のところは。ジョン・ウォーカーについては何か手がかりがありましたか？いや、今回の探索からはほぼないようだ。また潜りますよ。ああ、頼む。大丈夫ですって。井戸の中で死ぬのも初めてじゃないですし。でも死んだという実感はあったはずだ。精神的な疲労は溜まっているだろう。そうなんですかね。ちょっと自分じゃわかんないです。いけますよ。
Hmm.
あの子大丈夫でしたか？桃木さんのところの子。
So once he comes out of it, then he regains all the memories of the well.
世界であの子だけ急に自分の意思を持ったみたいに動き出したんで、殺意を向けられた時に犯人の心を揺さぶったんじゃないかと。ああ、それで大怪我を負ったよ。でもおかげで犯人を逮捕できた。なるほど。今日の2つ目の井戸、彼女のものだったんですか。
Yeah.
事件
Forget everything, have to start over.
それも苦痛じゃないのか。それも楽しみのうちですよ。カエルちゃんに会うのは。娘との面会みたいなもんです。二人とも毎回死んでる。
Wait, so is Kairu his daughter or not?
今回の犯人のあの男、自分や他人が壊れた存在であると知ってるのに、自分の世界が壊れていることに気づいてないなんて、自己欺瞞にも程があるように思いませんか。
Well, that's how the human mind works.
そうかもしれません。お前、あの犯人がカエルの死体に潜り込んだことで、死体を利用されていたことで怒ってるんじゃないのか。カエルはムクちゃんじゃない。
No, she's not.
相手の振る舞いなんかで感情的になるなよ。
Okay.
それに、お前が井戸に潜るのは事件捜査のためであって、犯人の精神的弱点を探るためじゃない。二度と誰かを自殺に導こうなんてするな。
Ah, so he is able to.
合同党の間違いじゃないですか。冗談です。
5 people.
そんなこと考えて
So he drove 5 people to suicide from the well?
俺が井戸に入れなくなったりするんじゃないですかね。それこそ桃木さんたちだって困るでしょう。
I believe from the synopsis that he's currently serving his time due to murder.
5人目ですね。ジョン・ウォーカーと接触したらしい連続殺人犯。
人の無意識を操るだなんて本当に可能なんでしょうか。
どうでしょう。蔵発足からはまだ半年ほどですが、その間大勢の連続殺人犯の井戸を矢継ぎ早に覗いてきました。東郷さんの経験からどんな風に思いますか。
私はジョン・ウォーカーの実在を疑っていたんです。連続殺人犯の無意識に共通する何かの要素を水ハノメという機械が便宜的にジョン・ウォーカーという記号に置き換えたんです。
A shared symbol of serial killers?
必ず殺されているカエルのようにでしょうか。
はい。水ハノメの作る井戸にデフォルトで用意されているだけでまだその役目がわからないだけなんじゃないかと。
その線で考えてみても。
Wait, you guys don't even know about the system you guys made?
何しろ水ハノメの仕組みについては未だ誰も全てを解明させる。
Then who made this?
桃木君はいささか気にしすぎているようですが。
使っている道具がどんなものか知りたいのは。
Yeah, it's natural to want to understand the tools.
今回穴あきの井戸にジョン・ウォーカーが現れた時の井戸の住人たちの反応を見て考えを変えました。そこにははっきりと恐怖があるんです。カエルの遺体や犯人を見ても全くひるまなかった住人たちなのに。これは水ハノメが作った世界設定じゃなくて井戸の持ち主穴あきの個人的な感情によるものだと思います。つまりジョン・ウォーカーはこの姿でどこかに実在します。そして井戸の世界、無意識に残るほど強い印象を植え付け、殺人の衝動に当たる部分に影響を与えているのかと。そんなことが意図的にどうやってできるのかは分かりませんが。
しかしいよいよ本格的に検討せざるを得ませんね。連続殺人鬼メーカージョン・ウォーカーの捜査を。
And he's being escorted back to his cell. And that's his daughter.
Kimiの選んだ死は首吊りなんだ。ドリルで貫かれることじゃなくて。 そうしてあげるべきだったんだ。カエルちゃんのために。今度はあの井戸に潜って時間があればきっと
Oh, so Sakaido is actually also a persona of his? Huh. Oh, alright. And this is the actual ending. So this is the first time we've seen it, so take a look at it. Yeah, it seems so. Sakaido is actually a persona, so there's actually two characters on the CV list. Voiced by the same character, but it's still two distinct people. So Sakaido is actually a fictional persona. Alright. Okay, this suddenly seems like a very Western inspired rap. Other side. Miyabi. Beat drop. Well, don't really see anything of particular use right now. I guess the concept of other side actually fits rather well into here. Reality and the well, I guess. Right, see you guys in a second. Alrighty, so a few things that we can glean from the ending of this episode. So first of all, Sakaido is, like I said, Sakaido is a sort of persona of that they create. So the actual character, his name is Nari Hisago, and you know, the entire Sakaido thingy is just a sort of persona that they put themselves into, and so their memories from the real world doesn't really carry over into that. So I guess it might even be a case where anybody could be Sakaido, I guess, and not specifically him, although that remains to be seen, right? And then there's also this character of Kaeru in there, which didn't turn out to be his daughter, right? If you think about it, that would be kind of messed up if he had to see his dead daughter as a trigger every time he needs to go into there and start jolting himself into action. Because actually, that's what I believe Kaeru is. She's sort of like there to be a trigger for Sakaido to start solving a mystery, right? Because there has to be a mystery there before you know, the brilliant detective can actually spring into action. That's how you trigger him into thinking, okay, I gotta find a way to solve this mystery, so on and so forth. So what I'm thinking here is that Kaeru character is mainly just a trigger for allowing Sakaido to start solving mysteries here. I do feel I find the entire concept of it still very intriguing, particularly in the fact that they don't even know exactly how this thing is made and all its capabilities and whatnot. That leads me to believe that there might be an inventor of this who's either missing or already dead or something, and then these police units just simply appropriated technology for their own use, but they don't completely understand it, right? So that's probably also going to be one of the mysteries that we solve going forward, and that is learning about the full capabilities of the will. There's bound to be some unexpected things to happen based on this alone, right? And speaking of the unexpected happenings, one of the things that I'm still really intrigued by is whether or not you can directly affect the subconscious through use of this persona diving into somebody's well, right? We know that John Walker was able to do something similar to this. He's able to affect their subconscious, although not necessarily through this well. It could also completely be a case where this John Walker dude simply left an impression on all these other serial killers so much that they, you know, he's rooted into their subconscious, he's rooted into their brains, right? I know that, you know, considering this kind of genre and this kind of setting and whatnot, I think it's more reasonable to believe that John Walker used some method to inject himself into the subconscious of these soon-to-be serial killers, right? And of course, we do see Nari Hisago say that, you know, through his dialogue, we know that he's drove people to suicide before. However, I think that doesn't necessarily mean that he did that. He didn't affect their subconscious directly through the well. It's also a case where he could probably just glean information from being in the well, learn about their weaknesses, learn about their darkest fears or something like that, and then once he gets back to the real world through interrogation and whatnot, then drive the serial killers or the other suspects or whatnot, drive them mad, right? It might not be a complete case of directly affecting the subconscious, because if that were the case, I feel like they would be putting in a lot more precautions already, and saying some stuff such as, no, you shouldn't do this because you might inadvertently affect his subconscious, etc., etc., right? It actually, seeing this right now, it actually it's kind of funny because there's another anime going on in this season as well by the name of Pet, which deals with literally the exact same concept, right? The only difference is that they're on different sides of the law, and then they're also using different methods to dive into a person's subconscious, but the basis of it is still the same. Of course, in Pet, it's dealing with memories, but these memories memories are also part of your subconscious and so on and so forth, right? It's still what makes up you. And so I just find it interesting that there's two anime in the same season that's dealing with a similar topic. So it might be, I don't know, since I'm watching both, there might be a case where, we can apply different fields of thought from either anime into the other one, right? What else here? I guess they also briefly touch on, I don't know how far deep they're going to do with the mental illness part. Whenever you're doing something with the subconscious or people's brains, psychoanalysis, something like that, you're always inevitably going to dive into the subject of mental illness and so on and so forth. For instance, for this perforator that we see, that was the suspect for these two episodes, it's clear that he's not quite right in the head, right? He basically performed a lobotomy on himself in order to, I guess, give himself peace of mind or something like that. Now, whether or not he was driven to do so, my guess would be he might have been driven crazy by John Walker, and then in order to alleviate it, then he did the self lobotomy on himself, right? Or he could have been given some subconscious hints for him to do something like this. But that's, I do find it interesting how they depict this kind of mental illness, especially within the brain. So to outsiders, they see his brain as being completely fragmented, and yet for the person himself, he actually thinks his brain is whole. And so even though it seems insane to us how he's able to function like that, he's able to function like that because he believes his brain is whole and there's nothing wrong with the situation, right? So a sort of like a parallel or reference to mental illness, if we will. And I guess one final note to conclude here would be Hondo Machi, right? Because she, in the end, was also sort of lobotomized, and I think there has to be some sort of long-term impact that results from this. She might be changed fundamentally in a way as well, and especially considering that the criminal, the suspect in this episode later had parting words of "find me when you can," and so they'll talk more. There's probably more to this arc of the story than this is not the end of it, let's just say. Even if we move on to other mysteries and whatnot, this is probably going to still formulate an integral part of the story going forward. So there we go. That's my thoughts for It Invaded, Episode 2. So far, it hasn't, Episode 2 hasn't really increased or decreased my evaluation of the series so far. I think they only solved their first case, right? I want to see how they solve the next one, and maybe learn a little bit more about the character of Naruhisako, and especially, his entire, what he's trying to do right now. I mean, I get the basic synopsis of it. So basically, somebody killed his daughter, and he killed that person back, and now he's in prison. And then because he was a great detective or great investigator, before his murder, so the police have decided to enlist his help to help solve crime, right? I think that's basically what the entire synopsis of this, the basic synopsis of the series was. So, are we going to explore further down that path? Are we going to drive down a path of mental illness and craziness and whatnot, and maybe potentially some craziness within Naruhisako as well? Don't know, right? There's lots of potential for this series, so let's see how it executes it in the next one. So there we go. I'll see you guys in the next week. Or I guess I shouldn't say next week's episode. I'll find a way to catch up to the current episodes. But anyways, stay tuned. See you guys next time.